How you doing, Levi?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Not bad.
Nice. What's the weather been doing for you?
It's busy. I teach school, and then I have a lot of martial arts schools also as well. So I'm busy.
Nice.
No!
Yes, fellas.
Beat me this time.
Once again, Levi is the witness. I was on here first.
It's impossible.
Levi's going, don't drag me into that.
all three of you beat me.
Yeah.
I was sitting here the whole time. You know what? I think Mark has told YouTube, if Phil tries to get on here, don't let her until Phil is on here.
Yeah.
No, actually, I did that. It wasn't Mark.
Oh, I believe you.
You're bribing.
No, I didn't do it.
He's bribing him.
Where's
I
Lou
love
at?
you. He's right here. Come say hello.
Oh, okay. Hey, Lou.
Just say hello.
I don't see him. He's
There
hiding.
he is.
Okay, there he is.
Yeah. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Where am I? Oh, there.
Oh,
you
here you are. You're right
I'm
there.
that little guy.
You're that little bitty guy. Oh, I'm so glad to be here.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Phil, I enjoyed the camaraderie ship with you. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Me too. For sure.
Something's gone. I don't know why it's not taking up the whole space.
Yeah, I don't know either. Kind of weird. Technology at its finest. I don't know. What chapter are we on today? It's 13?
13, I think.
I need to make this go away. That's going to stay on. Now I've got everything on. Left.
Uh-oh. Well, this thing up there.
Where? Where is it?
It's at the top, just above the safari to the
Right here?
No, to the right.
To the right.
Maybe. No, the safari. You see the little...
The safari thing right here?
No, not that one. The other one.
This one?
Yeah.
There it goes. All right.
That's funny. Okay. I know how to operate this stuff, and I've never seen it. Yeah. Isn't that funny?
Oh, it should be on today.
He's got me doing some other things. I'm sharing this.
You know,
You can't hear him.
there's some new people going to be here.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have some new new participants.
Is your mic on?
Yeah, my mic's on, right?
Good, good. Okay.
Now I'm turning it off.
Raul and Yami are both sick, and so they will not be on. They'll be listening, but they're going to stay in bed.
It's probably this weather up and down, up and down.
Yeah, I woke up with the tickle in my throat this morning as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm getting sick or what, but
Well, elderberry.
Yeah. Black seed. I'm going to get the sheet. Wait a minute.
Huh?
yeah, I took some vitamin C, some zinc, and we'll see how it goes.
That's perfect. Hey.
Hi, Phyllis.
Hi, how you doing?
Pretty good. We were trying to beat you on here so we could be first.
You can't beat, I don't think you can beat Phil. But I think Levi was first.
Well, only with a stick or something you could beat him.
And
Phil got us all.
I don't know. That Phyllis was trying to sneak around, but it didn't work.
How did I get such a bad rep?
I think it could be the comments you've made toward me recently.
No, I thought we would be all over that.
Still have some scars, but I'm healing rather well.
Phyllis, what do you got on that paper there?
Well, tell him about it. He's afraid to talk.
Oh, am I?
It's Sambucol.
This is a breath thing, some kind of a, when you have trouble breathing, black seed oil, strongest you can get. They're capsules. And
I'm on black seed oil.
good.
Good stuff.
There's a Sambucol. It's a virus fighter. Lozenges. That's what we use.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What brand is that?
Sambucol.
Sambucol?
That is the brand. Yeah.
That is the brand. Yeah, they were the pioneers of the black seed. No, the black elderberry.
Black elderberry.
Yeah, they're both black.
The black seed,
My
black
mouth
elderberry.
I used it when I had COVID, and it knocked it out in 4 days.
Yep. Yeah, you don't have to get on a lung machine.
I'm gonna have to come back on here and rewatch this and get that information.
What?
Okay.
What do you?
Here, I'll leave it with you.
What do you need? I mean, what information?
He's going to have to come back. Host?
There's Sambucol.
Sambucol, that's all I need to know. I can research it, Google it, and find it.
Research Sambucol black elderberry.
I'm on black seed oil, but it's a different brand. It's still working, but I'd rather, I guess, go with that brand that you got there.
This brand? Well,
yeah.
I think he picked this brand because I think that's what Phil used also. Because you could get the what is it, 1,250?
Oh, the black seed oil.
Let me read this for myself.
It's like 1,250.
Yeah, you want to get the 1,250 milligrams. It's really, it's the strong. Now it could be too strong for you. Wait, I can't seem to hold this right.
Just drink lots of water.
It could be too strong for you if you don't drink enough water.
You can take down a picture. I just needed the information to, I guess, Google it or search it to find it. I'll probably order it online, have it shipped to me.
Yeah,
Amazon has.
Hey, Lou, do you still sell it?
Yeah.
No,
we don't.
No, we don't sell it.
I bought it from you originally.
Yeah,
I advertised it in Fossilized Customs. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
we used to sell it in Fossilized
Every
Customs,
edition, I advertised it for the last 5 years. Yeah.
Levi,
Yep.
you should actually try even at your local health food store.
Yeah.
There you go.
Mom did that and got that exact brand at just one of our local like GNCs or or whatever it was. They had that exact brand.
It used to be hard to get, but now
I go to Natural Grocer and it's about an hour and 15-minute drive from here. I go to Natural Grocer and they don't have it on the shelves. I'm going to look for it. If not, I'm going to ask for it. I'm going to follow your advice and I'm going to ask and see if they can get it in.
Yeah. We get it within a couple of days through Amazon. Either one of these. Yeah.
I'm definitely going to look into it. I'm almost out.
Yeah, Lou, originally when I ordered it from you, I couldn't find it anywhere else. But I wanted to buy it from you anyway. But I'm just saying, I kind of looked then, and it took a long time. But now, a lot of people have it.
Everybody has it now.
So, Lou, you were a pioneer in introducing that for the cold and flu season.
Yes.
See, Phyllis, Lou is on my side.
That's right.
Oh, he's probably the one telling you to not give him credit.
What?
My son Michael has a program that he developed, the software, and it's like, what is it like, honey? What do you call that?
A template.
It's
It's a design.
you could. It's a design template software,
Yeah.
and he did a very interesting one today, and it's I'm going to put a link to it in the. I don't know if anybody's interested. I think anybody who wants to is creative designing things on the computer.
It's the simplest template.
It's really simple. Yeah. I'm going to post it. Hold on.
Yeah, if you go to design.
No. Phyllis, when Tad was taking that, it was the liquid is all they had. They didn't have the pills. Mm-hmm. But I can testify to the fact that if you use the oil itself, mm-hmm. It is one nasty stuff.
Oh,
it's hot. I can't even describe it now because it's been long enough ago, but I remember I could hardly stand to take it. It was too hot.
Hey. I can't figure out how to go find that link to put it here, so I'm not going to right now. I'll do it some other time. Oh, there you are. You went back. You left and came back. I didn't even miss you.
I've been sharing your this channel with several people, so I had to send links on it to kind of get some reminders sent out there.
You're muted, Phyllis.
Yep.
Lou's got 8,000 LinkedIn contacts or whatever it's called, and he's when we're here doing this, he's sharing this to as many, trying to get as many people to come join us. That's why that one fellow joined us that one day, and he says, I got a link to join this, and then he left. I guess it wasn't his thing.
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing.
Good. If we could get everybody on board to follow the truth that comes out of Mark's lips, this world would be wonderful.
Way better place. Yeah. Way better place.
Yeah. I'm watching my blue jays out there eating the seed I put out. I throw peanuts out there for them and sunflower seeds, and I get all kinds of birds, but the blue jays are so majestic. I love them so much. Yahuwah created wonderful things. There's 3 of them right there in the little apple tree next to us.
Bird feeders are some of the most, I used to think that was the most boring thing I could think of. Never understood why anybody would have a bird feeder. And then I got one and I spent hours looking at that sucker. I mean, just looking at all the different types of birds that come through. And
yep, I also have some hummingbird feeders, and those hummingbirds are something else to watch. I got my hummingbird feeders right off my window, so I can sit there with my face right on the window and watch them, and they're so beautiful.
We have a bird feeder, and a lot of little sparrows and stuff come in and feed. But recently we've had a big woodpecker.
No, it's a hawk.
Well, yeah, I'm talking about the other one, though. There was a woodpecker, and he had a little bit of red on him somewhere, but he was on the edge of our neighbor's shed, and he was sticking his long beak up into underneath there, I guess getting bugs or something. And he flew away, but he was pretty good sized. And then we've had another one that has spots on its back that looks like little round spots. And he's smaller, but he's still bigger than our little bird.
Yes.
And come to find out, he's a hawk.
Oh,
Type of hawk.
Yeah, he had gotten another little bird and was eating it, ripping it apart. Yeah,
taking the feathers were flying. He was pecking them off. I thought, okay, now that I know what you are, I'm going to chase you away.
Well, now he's got to eat too.
Yeah.
But that woodpecker is called a red-headed pileated woodpecker. We have one also, but he was trying to dismantle our deck to get to a bee that we have carpenter bees, and he was trying to get. He actually made a hole, huge hole to get to this carpenter bees. It might have been a nest of them or something, but
hawks are cool birds, though. The way they fly in the air, you can immediately tell whether it's a hawk or just by the way they fly.
Oh yeah, sometimes when we feed the birds in the afternoon, they like to fly real low through the woods, and they come after I have so many critters coming up on birds. We've got cats and hawks, and don't tell them what else.
We've recently been getting an influx of bald eagles in Ohio. I used to never, when I first moved up here from Texas, I've never seen a bald eagle in my life. And then all of a sudden, the last 3 or 4 years, we see them everywhere. So I don't know what's going on, but they're
on a comeback. I know they were getting pretty rare several years ago, but they've been coming back.
We have one. Louisville has one mated pair that comes, like I don't know. It comes through here. I don't know what migrates to Louisville a certain time of the year. It's pretty cool.
You guys said that we're on 13.
Yep.
I know Mark wants us to control what we talk about, but I think talking about Yahuwah's creation's a good thing, huh?
It is. So amazing. He is. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready for this warmer weather to come back so I can go on my hikes and get back in the woods. And that's what I like to spend my time doing in the summertime.
Yep.
Do a lot of creek walking.
I forgot, you're in Ohio, Josh? You're just north of me.
Yeah, when I moved up here from Texas, I couldn't get used to the 6-month winters, you know. That's been the hardest part for me, is having cold weather for so long.
Phil, do you ever get your bird out?
Yeah, we do, but especially before we had our new dog, she flew around the house a little bit. You got to be careful because they'll tear things all apart. So, they will. Some people leave them out, and they, of course, they poop a lot, and then they'll go to their cabinets and tear off all the trim and everything. They're crazy. Their beak is something else.
We had a son, Conyer, and when we got her wings had been clipped, and then they were growing out and just about to where she could fly, and we ended up giving her away to an older couple that was retired, and they had time to spend with her because she was so demanding. She would sit on Lou's shoulder and tear up his collar. Yeah.
And birds can be quite obstinate and nasty if they want to be. She's really she's really low keyed and, is really content. I've heard there's other birds that scream all the time and all that. So I don't know if it's I can't remember all the names of the different birds, but anyway, she's really easygoing. So we got pretty fortunate.
My mom used to have a parakeet, and it would take a bath in the fishbowl. And one time the water was a little low and he couldn't get back out. So he was in there talking to her. I can't remember what it was he was saying, but he actually learned a few words from just listening to us all the time.
Yeah, she knows about 500 words, so she can reason fairly well too. Birds observe you so much, they know what you're going to do before you do it. But sometimes she'll say, lock the door at night, lock the door, or, so she's heard it before. And then something, we can't get her to say Yahuwah. I'm not sure why. She hears it a lot, but maybe he won't let her. But anyway, we're trying.
We'll keep working at it.
She'll probably say it when you least expect it, or when you need it,
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, exactly. Now I can pet her, take her, move her around, but my wife, she hates my wife. She'll bite her in a second if she gets a hold of her and gets her finger in the cage. So it's kind of strange. So
that's like when my son brings his dog over here. He hates me, and if I even get close to him, he barks at me.
Really?
He likes Louie, but he hates me.
Isn't that weird? That's really strange how animals are like that sometimes.
Oh, there's a word for people that only like one sex. No, I don't mean that. He just prefers males, is what I'm trying to say.
We have a black and white cat that comes in to visit us sometimes every day, and then other times it might be a week or two in between. But he comes and he sticks his nose right on the glass door, and we open it up and he just walks right in, and he gets his pets from us and maybe a drink of water, and then he's ready to go back out and chase birds.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. All right. Probably should get started here. We're on Yahukanon 13 today. Hopefully we can get 13 and 14 in. 14 is a great chapter. 13 is too. It's not too long, but I think we'll be able to do two of them. So Yahukanon 13, who wants to read? We need a volunteer. Tad.
Well, I gave everybody a second there.
We have 3 openings here. If anybody would like to come in and join us, we would appreciate it. Fill up the live stream. 3 openings. Don't be shy. Come on in. Go ahead, Ted.
All right. And before the festival of the Passover, Yahusha, knowing that his hour had come, that he should move out of this world to the Father, having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. And supper taking place, the devil, having already put it into the heart of Yehuda from Kirjath, son of Shimon, to deliver him up. Yahusha, knowing that the Father had given all into his hands, and that he had come from Elohim, and was going to Elohim, rose from supper and laid aside his robe, and having taken a towel, he girded himself. After that, he put water into a basin and began to wash the feet of the pupils.
Okay, hold on a minute. What does this mean here in 3? Yahusha, knowing that the Father had given all into his hands, and that he had come from Elohim, he was going to Elohim. What does that mean?
It means he didn't fear death.
Yeah, we could see it that way. Anybody else?
He, knowing that the Father had given all into his hands, in other words, given him a mission to complete, and that he had come from Elohim and he was going to Elohim. So, he was the right arm of Yahuwah, sent into the world, and he was here to die, resurrect, and ascend back to Elohim.
Yeah, pretty good. Okay. Anybody got any comments on that or questions up to this point? And before the festival of Passover, Yahuwah, knowing that his hour had come, that he should move out of this world to the Father, there he knowing he's going to die, right? Having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. And supper taking place, the devil having already put it into the heart of Judas, son of Simon, to deliver him up. Okay, so what's going on here? In supper taking place. In other words, this isn't Passover meal, because the very first verse says, "And before the festival of Passover," and then in supper taking place. So what is this talking about? What's supper? Can't hear you, Tad.
It's just a simple supper with his Talmudim, and he was telling him that he was going away, but it's just a simple supper. Like I said, it's not the Passover meal.
What supper would it be?
They call it the Last Supper, I guess, but
yeah, it would be the Last Supper, right? So who celebrated the Last Supper? All of Israel celebrated Passover meal, right? But who actually celebrated the Last Supper? Was it a simple meal? Somebody? Nobody?
Yeah. It was I think it was just a simple meal, just bread and wine is from what we can see,
Mm-hmm.
As far as I know, it was just him and his Talmudim.
Okay. So the Last Supper being celebrated here by Yahushua and his Talmudim, where did most of them all come from? Where were they from? So I believe they were all Galilean, right? Except possibly one. The rest of them are all Galileans. And so they were all from a certain area up around northern Israel. And so they had a festival that they observed that the southern kingdom did not. And so Yehuda, the people, the Yehudim and the people from Yehuda, Judea, if you will, didn't celebrate this. So this was more of a regional observance. And it was called the Last Supper, is what we call it. But it's a Galilean tradition, okay? That was called Sida Maphasika, which means Last Supper. That's why we say it's translated to Last Supper. All right. And so what was this celebration about? What was it? Go ahead, Phyllis.
I was going to ask you, what was it about?
Yeah. Okay. So what it was was they were observing that not all people had died at the Passover in Egypt. So the only ones that died was the firstborn. Okay. And so they were that's what this is a celebration of. Okay. So not all died in Egypt. Okay. It was just the firstborn who died. Okay. So this is what the Last Supper was about, was commemorating that not all died in Egypt. Okay. At that night. All right. And so the Galileans did that. Go ahead.
So that was like it was like a commemoration to Yahuwah for sparing some lives. Is that?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Basically, yes. Okay. And so when did they celebrate? When did the Galileans observe this tradition? Okay. And so the clue here and the way to remember this is the name, the Last Supper. Okay. So it was the Last Supper eaten before the Passover meal, which means it was eaten 24 hours prior to the Passover meal. Okay. So when is the Passover meal eaten? Somebody. When are we supposed to eat it?
Between the evenings
Of?
The 14th.
No.
No?
Between the 14th and the 15th.
The 14th, yeah. 14th and 15th.
Yeah, as soon as the 14th is over, they eat the Passover meal. It begins the 15th, and which is the first day of unleavened bread. That's why they say there's two meals on the Shabbat. They said they eat the Passover as soon as it gets dark, usually when at evening to midnight, and it should be eaten before midnight. And you eat it in haste, right? So you're supposed to be fully dressed with your boots on, holding your walking cane, ready to roll, right? While you're eating it. Okay. And then, of course, then it goes through the night and then daybreak. And then the next day, that's when they eat the unleavened bread meal. Okay. Before the evening that following day. So the Passover happens on the 14th, where they sacrifice the lamb, prepare it, and cook it, and then they eat the meal on the Shabbat, on the first day of unleavened bread. So 24 hours preceding that would be when they would eat the Last Supper. Okay, so when would that be? So that would be the 13th. They would prepare it. As soon as it became evening, it became preparation day, right? On the 14th, that's when they would eat the Passover meal. It would be the last meal, the Last Supper they would eat before the Passover meal. So they'd eat the Last Supper, then they would fast until the Passover meal. And then they would sit down and eat the Passover meal. So what supper were they eating here? The Last Supper before the Passover meal, 24-hour fast between the two. You see that? And like I said, only the Galileans did this tradition. So where it says here then, in supper taking place, what does that mean? What supper?
The
the Last Supper. Everybody seen that? Any questions? Joshua, you have a question?
Just want to verify that it's the 14th evening before midnight that the Passover meal should be eaten.
It's actually the beginning of the 15th day.
Right, because when the evening starts, that's the beginning of the 15th day.
Yeah, that's the first day of unleavened bread. It's the Shabbat.
Okay. So technically, right. So technically, I guess it would be the start of the next day, but on our calendar, it would be 14th evening. I'm just trying to make sure I got it right. So.
Well, you know that the day starts at sunset, so midnight wouldn't be involved.
Well, he just said he said the meal should be eaten before midnight.
But midnight doesn't determine when the day starts.
No, but I'm just saying traditionally they would eat it before midnight. So you're supposed to eat it in haste. Okay, ready to roll, with your boots on, and eat it in haste, real fast. Just shove it down your throat.
Which
because this is what they did in Egypt. This is what they did in Egypt. They had to do everything in haste and get out of there.
Yeah,
right?
they knew they were getting ready to get out of there, so they wanted to hurry up and eat because they could hear the shofar blow, the trumpet blow, and so get them moving at any time. So they wanted to hurry up and eat.
Which is why the bread was unleavened as well, because it was all in haste. They didn't have time for it to rise and do all that stuff. That's why they did that too.
Yes, that's correct. And that's why you don't eat leavened bread on the first day of unleavened bread. You eat unleavened bread because of that. But I think scripture, if I ain't mistaken, says that if anything remains and becomes daylight, that you're not allowed to eat it. You got to take it out and burn it. You're not allowed to eat anything once it becomes daylight. Go ahead, Joshua.
Do you have any older videos of you just going over how to observe the 7 appointed times?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. There's a bunch of them on there.
You could find, I don't know maybe not today or whatever, but next time I see you, if you could just, if there's a list of videos that you have that I could, or if someone could.
If you go on this channel and there's tabs, all right? So there's the home tab, live tab, video tab. If you click on the live tab, you'll easily find it. Just look for the title. It's going to say 7 appointed times, and then if you go to the videos and you scroll through them, you won't have any problem seeing them. It's going to say 7 appointed times. Okay. And matter of fact, I think, if I ain't mistaken, there's 1 or 2 on there with me and Lou talking about the appointed times together, I think, on there. If it's not on my channel, it's on his. I know we did it. I just can't remember if it was on my channel or his channel. It might have been on Natsarim Live too. I don't know. I remember we did 1 or 2 though. They're all in there, man. You can't miss them. It's the title's right there. You know what I'm saying? I think I'm really got close to 400 videos now. No. So anyway, there's one really good one on there that I talk about this Last Supper and everything, in there. And it wasn't too that. I think it was only a year or 2 ago. So anyway, this is where a lot of people really get confused, because we all know that beginning from Passover and for the Galileans from the Last Supper, all the way through unleavened bread, Bikram, all the way through the week of unleavened bread, right? And Bikram comes on the first day after the Shabbat during the week of unleavened bread, right? So that through that entire time, they call that whole thing Pesach. Okay. And so translating that, it's Passover. So they call all that Passover. So it confuses a lot of people. See what I'm saying? So even the Galileans called the Last Supper Passover. And it's really confusing. But if you read all the different events surrounding Passover in the four witnesses here, it clarifies itself. And then you should be able to understand what it's saying. That when they say supper, they're speaking of the Last Supper. But when they say Passover, they can also be speaking of the Last Supper. So you can't get that confused. They call everything the Passover, even on days of unleavened bread. Go ahead, Phyllis.
Well, this is an obvious question. I was going to ask you, was John involved in the Galileans festivals? But I guess he was there, right? Was John a Galilean?
Well, if he's Alazar, I think for some reason, I can't remember where I read that, but for some reason, I remember reading something about Alazar, which is what we're saying is John is really Alazar, right? His sister Miriam and Martha, they were somehow, it puts them in the Galilee area when they were children. And so therefore they knew Yahusha from up there. And then I think they moved down to Beth and Yah later on. But then when Yahusha, as a child, then they would attend the festivals and stuff in Jerusalem. I think they would hook up with them, maybe even stayed there at their house or whatever, as they went down to observe the festivals, And so they kind of grew up together. But I can't remember where I read that at. It just seems like I did. I'm not positive on that. But I remember something to do with that, But so maybe he was and maybe he wasn't. But we definitely know that they lived in Beth and Yah, which was what did it say? 3 kilometers or something from Jerusalem. So either they met them during the festivals and they would always go there during the festivals. They spent a lot of time in Jerusalem. You know what I mean?
I'd like to make a remark, and it might be important for everybody to hear this, that until I have been studying with you, I never understood the importance of knowing, and there's a hawk up there, knowing the whole background of the participants, I guess, knowing where they're coming from and what they know and what they understand makes a huge difference in knowing what's going on and as we study. Thank you.
Oh yeah, the Hebrew culture is vital, understanding scripture. Vital. But all the other Talmudim were definitely Galileans, including Yahusha. Except I think one. There was one that wasn't. I can't remember which one that was. Seemed like he was from Judea or some area. I just can't remember which one. So yeah, vital. I think it actually maybe have been Judas that wasn't from Galilee. I think that's who it was. Now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, because he was from Quirioth or something like that. Judas from Quirioth. All right. I don't think that was from Galilee area. I'm not real sure. Let's see if he was. Let me see. No. Yeah, it was in Judea. So Quirioth was in the south of Judea, and that's where Judas of Iscariot was a native of. So he was the one that wasn't a Galilean. Judas. The rest of them are all Galileans. And that while, so the betrayer wasn't a Galilean.
It figures.
Yeah. All right. Any questions or comments now on this? Everybody understanding what we're talking about? So this supper would be 24 hours prior to the Passover meal. Is where we're at on timeline. Okay, Ted, let's go. Oh, wait a minute. So up here where it says and supper taking place, okay, and then it mentions Judas up here, and then it says where do we stop at the end of 3? Where you at, Ted?
We stopped halfway through 5.
Okay, all right, go to 4. So on 4 it says and come from Elohim, was going to Elohim. He rose from supper. See that? So when you see that supper, it's generally always speaking of the Last Supper. Okay. And laid aside his robe, and having taken a towel, he girded himself, and that he would water into a basin and begin to wash the feet of the pupils and to wipe them with the towel which he was girded with. Okay, so when he did this foot washing ceremony, when was it? It wasn't on the Passover, like everybody thinks it was. It was on during the Last Supper when he did this foot washing. Okay, so part of that tradition, of the Galilean tradition of the Last Supper, that's when he did that foot washing ceremony. So that's part of the Last Supper. So what would they do? Last Supper, well, they'd sit there, they would eat supper, right? And then they do the feet washing at the Last Supper after you eat. Okay. So he rose from the Last Supper and did the feet washing. This was before the festival of Passover. Everybody saying that?
People get that now. I haven't seen it in the past, but I see it now.
Yeah, they'd be doing that foot washing on Passover. I'm like, you're supposed to have done that the day before that. See what I'm saying? Okay, any questions, comments?
Well, I think if they're doing the foot washing, it's wonderful because it shows humility and subservience to others.
Yeah, that's true. But it also has a deeper meaning, in which we're about to find out here shortly. Go ahead, Josh.
I was just going to say the foot washing, this doesn't this go back to the Levitical sacrificial system where they needed to wash themselves, purify themselves with water before they had to cleanse themselves before they could bring themselves before Yahuwah, before a sacrifice would take place.
No.
So he's washing the feet. It's almost like a cleansing. It just seems like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
No, it's an extension off of it, Joshua, but it's got a different meaning now. I mean, it's not the same thing. It is an extension off of it, and we're going to find all that out here in a minute. Okay, so I'll point it out. I'll try to remember to point it out to you when we get to it. Anything else? Okay, Ted, let's go.
And so he came to Shimon Kepha, and he said to him, Master, do you wash my feet? Yahusha answered and said to him, You do not know what I am doing now, but you shall know after this.
Okay, hang on a minute. Okay, so this must be a new thing, okay, that he's adding to the tradition of the Last Supper, because Peter isn't understanding why he's doing it or what's going on. See that? So this brings a whole new an event or understanding to this foot washing that nobody really knew before. See, so it's an extension. Okay, so let's go ahead, Ted.
Kepha said to him, By no means shall you wash my feet ever. Yahusha answered him, If I do not wash you, you have no part with me.
Okay, hang on. Okay, so why did Peter say, "By no means shall you wash my feet ever"? Why did he say that? What's on Kepha's mind here?
Because he thinks it's beneath Yahusha to do this, something like that.
Right. Okay, let's go, Ted.
Shimon Kepha said to him, Master, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head.
You missed something.
Did I?
No, it says that Yahusha answered him, "If I do not wash you, you have no part with me." Okay, and so now Simon said, not only my feet, my hands, and my head. So now he's wanting him to clean everything up that's exposed outside of his garments. See that?
I was concentrating on the fact that Peter was so extreme. It was like never, and then everything. It's not like he's just really emotional about this.
Yeah. Peter was kind of a bullhead. He had to get his thick skull cracked once in a while. Go ahead, Ted.
It almost seems like when Yahusha was telling him this, by no means shall you, ever, like Sister Phyllis said. And then when Yahusha explained it to him, if I do not wash you, you have no part with. So he changes his mind. He's extreme now, and it's like a light went off inside, and so he thinks he gets it, and so now he goes to the other extreme.
Yeah, right. He's going from one end of the spectrum to the other really quick. Okay, anybody got any questions on that? Okay, let's go, Ted.
So picking up at verse 10, Yahusha said to him, he who has had a bath does not need to wash, except his feet, but is clean altogether. And you are clean, but not all of you.
Okay, stop. All right there, Joshua. There it is. Okay, so they don't need an immersion. Okay, they don't need a bath in this particular ceremony. He's saying he who has had a bath does not need to wash. So basically, if you've went through purification, okay, you don't need to do it again. And so when we can relate that to now, it's what it's saying is if you've been water immersed, there's no need to be water immersed again. As long as you did it right the first time, right? Now, if you did it wrong, or you didn't fully understand what you were doing, or you didn't do it in the name of Yahusha, then you do require a re-immersion. There are examples of a re-immersion in Scripture when people were re-immersed. But that's because they didn't do it right. Either they did it because they did it like Yahukanon, the immerser's immersion, right? And instead of doing it in the name of Yahusha, they had to be re-immersed. So there is situations where you do have to be bathed again or purified again, right? But in this situation, once they did it correctly, there was no need for a re-immersion. Okay, so he's speaking of something else, isn't he? Because he's saying that they're already there, but it's clean altogether. Okay, so no need to wash except your feet, but it's clean altogether. Okay, see that? So Yahusha's making some type of point here. Okay, even though you've been water immersed and you're clean altogether, there's a need for you to get your feet washed. So we got to understand why. What's the point? What's he talking about? Phyllis?
To keep in Scripture, to keep studying, because as you walk through this world, you pick up the dirt from the spiritual dirt, and then you come home and you read your scriptures and you get clean again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just going out into the world, we get dirty, right? So we pick up dirt, okay, and generally we're walking in the dirt, the dust, right? And so our feet, especially back in these days where they all wore sandals, would get dirty, right? And so it's spiritually is like Phyllis was just saying, and we got to look at it kind of like this on a literal basis. Just say we go on a journey into jungle somewhere, okay, and we walk through this jungle around for a few days, and then we come back out of the jungle, right? Well, we don't come back out the way we went in. We went into the jungle, we come out, now we're dirty, we probably stink, we probably got scratches on us, we got cuts on us, bruises, just because of the fact that we walked through the jungle. No other reason, because we were there in the jungle, in that environment. And it's the same way for us. When we go out into the world, we get dirty for no other reason than we were in this fallen environment. We can't help it. Although we're clean altogether, we don't need to be water immersion, but we do need to clean our feet and get the dust of this earth, this fallen earth, off of us. Just by going out and rubbing shoulders with the sinners, right? We get a little bit dirty. Go ahead, Ted.
Sounds to me like, we just learned that this was a little different than the Passover, a lot of us. And it kind of rings a bell that this was also something that he did, before that time. I kind of lost track of what I was going to say. Sorry.
And kind of got cleaned up before the Passover.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was a precursor to, cleaning out the leaven during the unleavened bread. That washing feet is what I meant to say. Since it was kind of the Galileans' tradition, I think that's probably what that was a precursor. Since we have to clean out all that leaven anyway, we'll just start right here. Here's our first washing, and we're going to go into that.
Yeah, kind of like what we were talking about last week, where they all came to Jerusalem in order to get clean first before the festival. Remember when we talked about that last week? Yeah, it's along them same lines. Go ahead, Joshua.
Oh,
Joshua.
Yeah. No, I just So I just again, my mind takes me to the Levitical system, where the lever was in the front of the tabernacle, and the priests, whenever they would do a sacrifice, I don't think they immersed their whole bodies in water. I think they were just cleansing themselves in order to complete the sacrifice. In other words, to it's not the same thing as atoning for sins, right? I mean, with water, it's a purification process, whereas blood's atonement. So I guess my point is I see a parallel there where he says, you can't be with me unless you're clean, basically, is what he's saying, is what he said. So I don't know. That's why my mind went back to the sacrificial system, because that's what they did before a sacrifice, is not just a whole body water immersion, but sprinkling of the water over their arms and feet and legs. This is what the priest did at what I believe it was called the lever, which was a big bronze bowl full of water.
Yeah.
And that's just what it reminded me of. I don't know if, but so yeah, that's it. That's all I wanted to say about that.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
just see the parallel with it.
Well, that train of thought's correct, Joshua. I mean, look at where he says at the last right there, what he says. Okay, he says, you are clean before he even washed his feet. You see that?
And then also, like what I gleaned from Leviticus is that uncleanliness, it goes into great detail about what's unclean and clean, but being unclean is not the same thing as being in sin, because you can just be unclean just by existing in the world. like you said, and you accumulate stuff just from being in the world that can make us unclean and unapproachable to set apartness. So I don't know. I'm trying to connect that. Going through Leviticus has been really eye-opening for me because it was never something I spent a lot of time on. And now that I spent a lot of time on it, it's such a very important book, as far as what it means to what Yahusha did in the end. He basically was the Levitical sacrificial system incarnate, but.
Go ahead, Phyllis.
I wanted to add to what Tad brought up. It didn't stop with the cleansing before Passover. That makes sense that they would continue to fast after they had their cleansing meal and foot washing. Then they fasted until they had Passover. That's a good point you made there, Tad.
Yeah. So we find this in most of the other festivals as well, like we talked about last week, remember, where they came into Jerusalem in order to clean themselves up before the festival. Remember we were talking about that? Here we find the same sort of thing going on here now before Passover. I think the last week was the unleavened bread. I'm sorry, Sukkot. Correct? Wasn't it? Any more questions or comments or anything? Okay, Tad, let's go ahead and go into it real slow here now.
You want me to pick up at verse 10 again?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yahusha said to him, "He who has had a bath does not need to wash except his feet, but is clean altogether. And you are clean, but not all of you." For he knew who would deliver him up. So he said, "You are not all clean." So when he had washed their feet and taken his garments and sat down again, he said to them, "Do you know what I have done to you? You call me teacher and master, and you say, well, for I am. Then if I, master and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I gave you an example that you should do as I have done to you."
Okay, hang on a minute. All right. So what's he saying here? Is he speaking about the same thing he was talking about in verse 10? Or is he saying something different now? Go ahead.
I think he's saying something different. He's just saying that we should complete the Torah in love and, do for one another and love one another as he has loved us.
And also keep each other spiritually clean.
Right. So now he's talking about what Phyllis was talking about, right? See that? Remember when she was saying that you go out there and you come back and you read Torah and it cleans you back up and all that. So this is more of that type of application toward this tradition here. And so, it's different. And for giving them an example that you should do as I have done to you. And so it would be also possibly like on a supportive type level, right? They're supporting each other, helping keep each other and to help each other to endure, to stay clean, to stay spiritual, walking in spirit and truth, things like that. Right? And so as we go out into the world and we collect dust on us, then we're supposed to help wash that off of each other by supporting each other in with humility, not in hypocrisy, but in humility. Everybody seeing it? Okay. All right, Tad, let's continue.
Truly, truly, I say to you, a servant is not greater than his master, nor is an emissary greater than he who sent him. If you know these teachings, blessed are you if you do them. I do not speak concerning all of you. I know whom I have chosen, but that the scripture might be concluded. He who eats bread with me has lifted up his heel against me. Now I say to you, before it takes place, that when it does take place, you shall believe that I am.
Okay, hang on. All right, back over to 17. If you know these teachings, blessed are you if you do them. So it's critical that we know this teaching, right? We need to know this and understand this fully. Okay, so we're speaking here of walking in humility as we serve each other and help each other endure. Also, we're speaking here of being set apart and as we're set apart, we help each other remain set apart by washing off the world or the dust off of each other, which is unavoidable. And so it's an unavoidable thing that's going to happen to each and every one of us. And so the rest of us have to be aware of it. And when we see this, perhaps even one of our brothers or sisters sinning a sin not to death, then we should pray about that and cleanse them. Scripture says we shouldn't pray about somebody sinning a sin to death, but if we see them doing a sin not to death, we should pray for them and so Yahuwah will clean them from that sin. Is this part of this as well? There are sins not to death, just like there are sins to death. Go ahead, Phyllis.
I was mulling over where he said, I say to you, a servant is not greater than his master, nor is an emissary greater than he who sent him. I wonder if he was referring to Judas and his person who sent Judas. So Judas can't avoid doing what he's been told to do because he's not greater. He's an emissary of the evil one, and the evil one's greater than him. Is that about what he's trying to say?
Sort of is. Judas was unclean. He wasn't clean like the other 11 were. And Yahusha knew that. You know, what's kind of amazing here is it makes me wonder, did Yahusha clean Judas's feet? But I don't think he did. But a servant is not greater than his master, nor is an emissary greater than he who sent him. So an emissary would be basically is just a messenger, you know. Don't shoot the messenger, the one that brings the message, right? So what this is saying is none of you are exempt from this, okay? Because he did it. And since he did it, everyone has to do it. Nobody's exempt here. You know, because if you don't wash your brother or sister's feet, what you're saying is, I'm better than Yahusha. That's what you would be saying. Now, I've done feet washing for a few years now, actually maybe 10, 15 years. And I can tell you by experience, it's the most humbling thing you probably ever do. And it's easy if you're a man and you wash a woman's feet, but when you have to wash another man's feet, it becomes humiliating. And it really, really puts you into check on deflating your ego, let's just say, because men have egos, big time egos. And it pops your balloon like nothing else I've ever experienced. And so if you do this, try to man wash another man's feet, because washing a woman's feet, really, you don't get the experience of in this at all, really. I mean, it's nothing to do with a woman's feet. Now, on the other hand, a woman, in my experience, seemed to be able to wash people's feet a lot easier. It seems like they don't have the big ego, and so their love, their caring, their mothering instincts, or whatever it is, seems to come out, and they seem to be able to do this with joy, no matter what. And so it's an amazing process to watch, and you get to see how Yahuwah created the two different sexes, the male and the female, and the difference that's in their hearts. It's really quite an amazing thing. That's why I always say it's very hard to beat the love of a woman. I mean, look at the lady that was kissing his feet, cleaning his feet with her tears and wiping with her hair, man, kissing his feet nonstop. How many men would get down there and kiss another man's feet nonstop like that? Probably not too many. So this is an amazing thing to understand. So anyway, to experience what Yahusha did here, you notice he didn't clean any women's feet. He cleaned the feet of 11 other men. So nobody's exempt from doing this. And where it says in 17, if you know these teachings, blessed are you if you do them. This teaching, this act of love here, has a promise of a blessing attached to it. So it's something that everybody may want to consider doing. Okay, so does everybody understand the teaching and what's going on here? The spiritual and literal? Anybody got anything else they want to add to it or comment about it to help others understand this teaching? Something I haven't mentioned yet? Well, all good to go? All right. Let's continue on then, Ted.
I think I left off at verse 20.
Oh, hang on a minute. Oh. I wanted to ask this. I forgot about this in 19. Now I say to you before it takes place that when it does take place, you shall believe that I am. What's he saying right there? Just I am. What's that mean? It's just kind of looks like he cut it. Huh? That you believe that he's Yahuwah?
Saying he's Yahuwah.
That's right. He's saying he's Yahuwah, isn't he? You shall believe that I am. And so by saying I am, he's saying Yah here. And so he's saying that you'll believe that I'm Yahuwah. Because he's doing it before it takes place. I know whom I have chosen, but the scriptures might be concluded. He who eats bread with me has lifted up his heel against me. So he's letting them know that one of them is going to turn against him. He's going to get killed. And by prophesying this and telling them before it happens, that once it happens, they'll believe that he's Yahuwah. Why? Because he can see into the future. Can a man see into the future? A human being, man or woman? No, we can't even see 1 second into the future. The only way that can tell us what's going to happen, give us true prophecy, is Yahuwah. That's it. Nobody else can see the future. Not the devil, no demons, nobody. Just Yahuwah. So, in that case, then, if Yahuwah is the only one that can see in the future, how did the prophets prophesy then? How did they prophesy? They're meant. How did that happen? Go ahead, Ted.
Because Yahuwah showed them.
Yahuwah told them, didn't he? So it says somewhere in Scripture that no man ever prophesied on his own. It came from the Ruach HaKodesh. Everybody familiar with that passage? Okay. All right. So that's why once it takes place, you shall believe that I am, or that he's Yahuwah. All right. Everybody see that? That's pretty good evidence that he's Yahuwah. All right, Ted, let's go.
Truly, truly, I say to you, he who receives whomever I send receives me. And he who receives me receives him who sent me.
Oh, what does that mean?
Basically the same thing as he told Thomas, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. It's basically the same thing, you know. We're one and the same.
I say to you, he who receives whomever I send. So what would that be? So, a prophet, a teacher, an emissary, somebody who's spirit-filled, as the real Kodesh in them. Go ahead, Ted.
Well, whoever hears his voice through one of his emissaries, because only his people will hear his voice, then they'll know to receive him in his name.
Right. And so if you reject somebody who has the Ruach HaKodesh in them, who are you rejecting? Are you rejecting that person, or are you rejecting Yahusha? Are you against the man, or are you against Yahuwah? Which one?
Yahuwah.
Yeah. So if somebody rejects you, says, "Oh, this guy's an idiot. I don't know what he's talking about." Right? What a dummy. Are they offending you, or are they rejecting you? No, they're rejecting and offending Yahuwah, aren't they? That's what this is talking about. Go ahead, Ted.
They hated me, they'll hate you too.
That's right, because he's in you. They're not going to stop hating him. Okay, that's what this is all about. And he who receives me receives him who sent me, which is Yahuwah. So what does that mean? And he who receives me receives him who sent me. Go ahead, Philip.
It means that he's Yahuwah.
All right. Exactly. So he's saying again that he's Yahuwah. Okay. So if you receive me, you're receiving Yahuwah, because I am Yahuwah, right? Go ahead, Phyllis.
I've lost track of how many times in John, Yahukanon, that we've come across proof that Yahusha really did say he was Yahuwah.
Yeah. Yahukanon is loaded with that.
Yes.
Yeah, he beats that up in Yahukanon, man. I mean, it's all about Yahusha being Yahuwah. It's the whole book. It's like Isaiah. I don't know how you can read Isaiah and not come to the conclusion that Yahusha is Yahuwah incarnated. And I don't know how you can read the book of Yahukanon and come to any other conclusion other than Yahusha is Yahuwah. I mean, it's just saturated with that. I mean, he's going crazy trying to show people who he is. And you know, with another amazing thing, speaking of that, is the book of Revelation. Same thing. Yahuwah is so strongly wanting people to know who Yahusha really is, that it's him, that he goes out of his way in Revelation to reveal Yahusha. It's the revealing of Yahusha. It's what it is. And how people can read that book and not understand who he is blows my mind. Especially when you read the first chapter. John, first chapter of Colossians, first chapter of Revelations. How do you come to any other conclusion? It blows my mind. But you're right. John is saturated with that knowledge. It's obviously extremely important to Yahuwah that you know who Yahusha is. I know, for one, I'm very thankful that I know who Yahusha is. I feel sorry for people that don't. All right. Any other comments on that? All right, Ted, let's continue on that.
Picking up in 21. When Yahusha had said this, he was troubled in Ruach and witnessed and said, "Truly, truly, I say to you, one of you shall deliver me up." The pupils looked at one another, doubting of whom he spoke. And one of his pupils, whom Yahusha loved, was reclining on the bosom of Yahusha. Shimon Kepha then motioned to him to ask who it was of whom he spoke. And leaning back on the breast of Yahusha, he said to him, "Master, who is it?" Yahusha answered, "It is he to whom I shall give a piece of bread when I have dipped it." And having dipped the bread, he gave it to Yehuda from Kiriath, son of Shimon. And after the piece of bread, Shaitan entered into him. Yahusha therefore said to him, "What you do quickly."
Okay, hang on a minute. Hold on a minute. Okay, so back up here in 23 where it says, and one of his pupils whom Yahusha loved. Okay, so here we get this vision, this pictorial by Christianity that, the Last Supper portrait done by, Leonardo da Vinci. Everybody's familiar with that, right? Is showing only 12 people there, right? Yahusha being the 13th. But is the pupil whom Yahusha loved one of the chosen 12? Was he?
I know you have told us that you don't think so, but it just said he was a pupil. How can you not believe that?
Well, no, I'm saying, was he one of the 12? There was he had 70 followers, and out of the 70, he chose 12, okay, to be his emissaries, and to be closer to him, right? And so he had 70 pupils, Talmudim, following him around. Out of them 70, he chose his 12. Well, there was a lot more than that. There was hundreds of people following him around for a while, maybe even thousands. But what I'm saying is the 12 that he chose out of the 70, he didn't discard the 70. They still followed him around as well. But the 12 that he chose out of there, who was sitting here at the supper table with him, the one that was reclining on his bosom up against his, had his head laying against his chest or on his shoulder or whatever, was that one of the 12? No, it was not. Go ahead, Joshua.
I was going to say it's a very specific detail, and it's the only time the other time that we see it's described as the one who we loved, it was Alazar, correct?
That's right.
So
So Alazar is
so
definitely
is,
the one you loved. So was Alazar one of the 12? No, he was not. So what does that mean? What does that mean?
What do you mean by what's that mean?
Okay, if they in this pictorial of Leonardo da Vinci, he shows 12. Okay, and Yahusha 13. Some people say that there's a woman on there in that painting, which they say was Mary Magdalene. If you look at the picture real close, you'll see that one looks very feminine. Okay, and so is this picture portraying the correct scene? Was there only 12 at the Last Supper? And the answer then obviously is no. There were more. There was the 12, including the betrayer, but there was also Alazar, Mary Magdalene, and others. There were others there as well. And so that picture that the Catholics promote of the Last Supper is not really depicting the correct situation at the Last Supper was going on there. Okay, so Alazar was not one of the 12. He was the pupil whom Yahushua loved. Although he was a pupil, they all were. Like I said, there were 70, and then later on hundreds of Talmudim. In Christianity, calls the 12 apostles, you know, and in order to keep them distinct from the rest of the pupils. But we don't like to use the word apostles. And rather than apostle, we generally say emissary. But they were all, of them were all pupils or Talmudim. They all were. So we all know that the full list of the 12 it's given to us in Scripture, and you can look in there and you can see that Alazar is not one of the 12. Any questions? Comments?
Would you like to explain why we don't use the word apostle? I've not even heard Lube mention that.
Well, you know, let's look it up. So, apostle. What's the meaning of apostle? Yeah, I think we're going to have a little bit of trouble out of that one here because of Christianity. Let me do it a different way. Oh, I see. Okay, so the definition of an apostle, right? And this is, you run into issues because of Christianity, you know, because they've kind of overwhelmed and took over, right? So it says each of the 12 disciples, a student, right, of the J-man. Any important early Christian teacher, especially St. Paul, apostles, or it says the first successful Christian missionary in a country or to a people. So the apostle. So we're not going to get, let me see, hang on now. An apostle, in its literal sense, is an emissary. The word is derived from ancient Greek, verily one who is sent off, itself derived from the verb to send off. Okay. Yeah, it's not gonna explain it here. Because of Christianity, they make everything lean toward their theology, and so emissary, student, evangelist, disciple, follower, disciple of the J-man, this type of thing, but it's not really what it really is. I'm trying to find something that explains it, but we're not going to probably. All right. So, I guess the only thing I can really say on that, because I'm kind of lacking, an in-depth thing of this, is that it's Latin, okay? And so it's not Hebrew. The Hebrew word is emissary. And so apostle would be Latin, coming out of the Latin Vulgate. But it really, it's implying that someone, I guess someone who witnessed or knew Yahusha firsthand, like a firsthand witness of somebody that knows who he is. So if you say an apostle, and here's the other thing too, have you heard of the apostolistic lineage? Okay, and so yeah. So what they say is that these priests today, these heads of these churches, come from the apostolic line on down through each generation, and so they come from you can date them back to the apostles' lineage. See, I mean, and so if you're not of the apostolic lineage or line, then you can't be a teacher or a preacher type person. So that's they call it the apostolic creed or something like that. I can't remember now. I haven't studied that in quite a while, so I'm just going by vague memory here. But you can see it's not something we want to be involved in. We shouldn't use the apostle. The Catholics are real heavy on that. To be a priest, if you're a priest, then that's proof that you came from the apostolic line of priests. See what I'm saying? So we don't that's why we shouldn't use that. Emissary is the word that we should use. Other than that, that's the best I can give you right now. You got a lot of vague I haven't studied that in a long time. Anybody else got any more comments about that? Okay. So, I guess the whole point here is that there were more people in this room than just the 12 disciples. It's pretty clear. Because Eleazar, for one, was there. He wasn't one of the apostles or the 12 emissaries. Okay. Yeah, there it is. That's the word I was trying to think of. Thanks, Lou. Apostolic succession. That's what I was trying to say. Okay. Any questions or comments or anything at this point? Okay, let's go ahead and go, Ted.
I'm going to read 27 again. And after the piece of bread, Shaitan entered into him. Yahusha therefore said to him, "What you do quickly." But no one at the table knew why he said this to him. For some were supposing, because Yehuda had the bag, that Yahusha was saying to him, buy what we need for the festival, or that he should give something to the poor. So, having received the piece of bread, he then went out straight away, and it was night. When, therefore, he went out, Yahusha said, now the son of Adam has been esteemed, and Elohim has been esteemed in him. If Elohim has been esteemed in him, Elohim shall also esteem him in himself, and straightway esteem him. Little children.
Okay, little children. Go ahead.
Yet a little while I am with you. You shall seek me. And as I said to the Yehudim, where I am going, you are unable to come. I now also say to you.
Okay, stop. Okay, so who's speaking here? Which part of his nature speaking when he says little children, yet a little while I am with you? Is that the human nature or is that the divine nature talking? Phyllis?
That's the human nature. That's his flesh, right?
No?
Divine.
The divine nature.
Father Yahuwah.
Yeah, he's saying little children. He's exposing himself as the Father. He's calling us little children, his children. As far as the flesh goes, then we would be his brother, right? He's the first to be resurrected, the first fruits of many brethren, right? So the flesh references really a brother, because Yahuwah was pleased to call him son, and so which will make him our sibling. But here he's speaking on his divine nature by calling us little children. So this is the Father speaking. Go ahead, Phyllis.
So up in verse 31, he says, when therefore he went out, Yahusha said, now the son of Adam has been esteemed. I thought that meant his fleshly side was being esteemed. And
it is. And Elohim has been esteemed in him. So he's speaking of both right there.
Yeah, it's almost like he's speaking of Yahusha in the third person.
Yeah.
It is what he's doing. Elohim has been esteemed in him. Well, he's talking about himself.
Yeah. Exactly. So look up above there on 30. So having received the piece of bread, he then went out straight away, and it was night. So this is kind of proof that they ate the Last Supper when it became evening. Okay, on the 14th started. That's when they ate the Last Supper. It was nighttime. See that? Go ahead, Joshua.
I just want to, if we could go back up to 27. And after the piece of bread, Shaitan entered into him, and Yahusha therefore said to him, what you do quickly. I mean, that's pretty interesting, I think. So he dipped this bread, and it's almost as if did Shaitan, what happened here when he dipped the bread, or what is it symbolizing here? Because it seems like he almost made it happen immediately. Like,
Well, read 26.
Or did he direct Shaitan?
Read 26.
Yeah, and then having dipped the bread, right.
No, read up above there, 26.
Yahusha answered, it is he to whom I shall give a piece of bread when I have dipped it. And having dipped the bread, he gave it to Yehuda from Kiriath, son of Shimon.
And after the piece of
bread, Shaitan entered into him. So what's taking place there is I guess my question.
Well, he just got exposed. There's not a secret anymore. Yahusha just exposed the betrayer. And so Satan said, oh, he's been exposed, time for action. And he went and possessed him and began to do what he was going to do, and that's turn him in.
Perhaps
No hiding.
So he was.
at that
So was Shaitan standing over his shoulder? Was Shaitan standing over his shoulder the entire time, waiting to enter him, or?
Apparently, his.
No.
Go ahead, Phyllis.
I know.
Go ahead, Phyllis. Go.
Please let me speak. Yahusha gave Hashatan permission that because Yahusha was in control the whole time. And he said, when I give this piece of bread to this one, go ahead and do your thing quickly. He wasn't necessarily talking to Judas. He was also talking to Hashatan. Said, go ahead and do it. It's time. Do it.
Yeah. So his presence, he was there. Okay. In the spiritual form. He didn't manifest into the flesh, which messengers can do, but he must have been there and just waiting for the Yahusha's permission to start doing the betrayal. Okay. And so Satan is not omnipotent like Yahuwah is, so he had to be there. Okay. See what I'm saying? Go ahead, Ted.
That's what I was going to say is we can't forget that Yahusha, past, present, and future, he's already lived it. He knew exactly when Shaitan was going to enter, Judas. But Shaitan didn't know that because he's not omnipotent like that.
Yeah. So could Shaitan have already received the order from Yahuwah? As soon as Yahusha hands the bread to the betrayer, go ahead and possess him and go do what I made you to do. Yeah,
So
of course
he didn't.
He can talk to 100 million people all at the same time around the world. Of course he could.
So Judas wasn't under the influence of Shaitan up until that point. Judas was just
He was unclean.
Or was he under the influence the entire time?
No, he was just a sinner. He was never clean. Remember, Judas was a robber. Okay, he stole money he was the one in charge of their finances, but he stole money out of the money bag. He was a robber. He was a snake in the grass, man. He was a backstabber and turned out to be a betrayer. It said he was unclean. Remember, it said everybody's clean except for one. One of you are unclean, remember? So he was never converted. He was basically infiltrated spy. That's what he really was. But he didn't have Satan in him the whole time. That was just his flesh. That's who he was. He was unclean. He was a sinner. He was a robber. He was a spy. Apparently, he did have a good side to him because later on, after he did betray Yahusha, he did repent and killed himself because of it, of what he did to Yahusha. Okay, and so we know that this was all acts of flesh, not the devil. But here in this case, the devil did possess him, but he didn't stay in him forever. He left, after he did what he had to do. Why did the Pharisees hire Judas with 30 pieces of silver to identify Yahusha? Why? Why did they need to hire Judas to do that? I mean, he was around all the time. They saw him in the set apart place all the time. Why did they feel they had to hire Judas? Go ahead, Ted.
Because they were trying to get Yahuwah, who can shape shift, appear whatever he wants to do, translate, disappear, walk through walls. He can do whatever the heck he wants to do. And so they needed somebody that, could actually go up and here he is, that was.
All right. So Judas then must have went to him, and they were probably talking something like this. Man, we can't get the dude, man. Every time we get close to him, he disappears. or shape shifts, become somebody else, and we can't identify him properly. We can't catch him. So here comes Judas along and says, I can identify him. And then being one of the 12, they said, oh, we have an insider. He stays with Yahusha. He should be able to identify him. Let's go ahead and hire him. And so they hired him to identify Yahusha because he was a shapeshifter. They knew who he was when they saw him. See? So they had to have somebody that could identify him even if he shapeshifted. And that's why they hired Judas. Go ahead, Ted.
But then on the other side, Yahusha knew all this, that they had hired him. It was all for a purpose.
Yeah, it was the reason Judas was born, isn't it?
Pretty much.
So if Judas could be any other way, he would have, but he couldn't because he was born for that moment. Just like Pharaoh. Pharaoh was born for that moment. He couldn't do it if he wanted to because he was born for that moment. And he just acted out his role. Same with Judas here. I'm sure if Judas could have done anything else, he would have, but he could not. It was his reason for being born. It was to betray Yahusha. Isn't that crazy? How would you like to have been Judas? Born just for that particular event, to betray the Messiah. Wow. All right. Any other questions or comments on that? Okay, let's continue on then, Ted.
I think I left off in 34, where he says, a renewed command I give to you, that you love one another as I have loved you, that you also love one another. By this shall all know that you are my pupils, if you have love for one another.
Okay, hang on. Okay, so this isn't a renewed command. Christianity says this is a new command. So what is this? Is this a new command that we've never heard before that we've received from Yahushua here? It's a renewed command, which means it has to be found somewhere else then, right? Where's this found? Go ahead, Ted.
Well, I would say the last 6 commands of the Torah, basically, where they're all about your family and your neighbors. But I mean, it includes the first 10 as well, or the first 4.
So, but where's this command found if it's renewed?
Dude.
Love one another as I have loved you.
Josh is trying to tell us something.
Josh?
No.
I mean,
What's that?
Levi. The names.
Oh,
Yeah, it was Levi.
Oh, this was what I was trying to come up with, Phyllis. Lou put it up here. Apollos succession. Apollos secession. That's what it's called. See, that apostle thing, that's Catholic stuff. That's Christianity. That's why we don't use that. We should use emissary instead. Okay. I forgot that I even had that up there. There we go. There's your names back. Okay, so go ahead, Levi.
I was going to say it summarizes the 10 commandments. Torah. It encompasses all 10.
That you love one another as I have loved you, that you also love one another. It seems to me there's something else here. Okay, so look at Leviticus 19:18, somebody, and read it. It's in the Torah, Leviticus 19:18.
It says, do not take vengeance or bear a grudge against the children of your people, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself. I am Yahuwah.
Okay. So that's the same command right there. That's why this is not a new command, but repeated command, if you will. Okay. So renewed, repeated command is found in Leviticus 19:18. They say it is. So Christianity teaches that the Torah is annulled, and it was only for the Jews, right? And this is a new command. This is the only command we have to go by. And then they'll turn right around and say, well, you don't even have to obey that one either. So it's impossible to do that even. So that leaves us with no commands. We can be lawless. So this is nothing but more than trickery from the devil. Go ahead, Phyllis.
I have a question. Now, see here, he uses the term, you are my pupils. What's the difference in calling them pupils in Talmudim?
Nothing. Same thing. Students, pupils, same thing.
He called John, who was leaning up against his bosom, a pupil.
Right. And same thing, really.
But that was
emissary. Emissary takes it to a little bit different level because they're kind of like the messenger, right hand man type thing. But a pupil include anybody that follows Yahushua's teachings. Like we're all pupils, all of us are. You could say the Talmudim are his followers, but all of us are his followers too, So it's just those who follow the teachings of Yahushua would be a pupil, his pupils. So those by this shall all know that you are my pupils if you love have love for one another. So notice here that it really is not mentioning the first and greatest command, is it? So why? So the answer to that, does everybody understand what the first and greatest command is? Go ahead, Ted.
You said why? Because unless you have love for, your neighbors, then you can't really have love for Yahuwah, and that is all encompassed.
Right.
That's why it's the first great command.
That's right. So, so the first and greatest command is the Shema, which is found in Deuteronomy 6:4. And it says, and you shall love Yahuwah. Yahuwah is one. You shall love Yahuwah, your Elohim, with all your heart and with all your being and with all your might. But here, the emphasis is on loving each other. Have love for one another, as I have loved you. And you shall also love one another. And by this, the world will know that you're his pupils if you have love for one another. And so, like Ted just said, you cannot love Yahuwah and hate your brother, because then you're a liar. If you say, I love Yahuwah, but you hate your brother, you're a liar. That's in 1 John 4:20. Go to it. Ted, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it encompasses all that.
Well, so go to 1 John 4:20. First John 4:20. If someone says, I love Yahuwah, and hates his brother, he is a liar. For the one not loving his brother, whom he has seen, how is he able to love Yahuwah, whom he has not seen? So this is very clear that you can't love Yahuwah unless you love your brother. Very clear. And that's why if you ever notice in the Torah, the new Natsarim writings, that anytime anybody ever asked Yahusha what they had to do to be delivered, he always mentions the last 6 commands. He never cites the first 4. Never. Because it's not going to do you any good to obey the first 4, because they teach you how to love Yahuwah, and then to say that you love Yahuwah if you hate your brother. So the last 6 is something that you have to do before you can even think about obeying the first 4. They're never mentioned. Look it up yourself. Yahuwah never mentions the first 4, and he's not mentioning them now either. Go ahead, Ted.
It seems to me like it almost goes along with how you understand the heavenly if you don't understand the literal. It's kind of the same thing.
Man, yeah. It's kind of the same thing. Man, I'm trying to find that verse where when somebody asks Yahusha what to do to obtain everlasting life, and he gives those first two commands. Love Yahuwah and then love their neighbor. Anybody know where that's at? I'm forgetting where it's at.
It's in Matthew, ain't it?
Is it in Matthew? See if you can find that, somebody. Oh, my mind's slipping on me here. Yeah, I think it is Matthew 22. Matthew 22. Yeah, there it is. Wait a minute. No, that's not it. No, that's not it. Maybe that's in Mark.
Matthew 22:38 through 40.
No. It's driving me nuts now. Where is that? He's asked, what do you have to do to be delivered? And he says, love your neighbor as yourself and love Yahuwah. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I can. Let me see if I can find that. It's driving me crazy now. I got to find that. Oh, yeah. Anybody find it yet? So there's several that he says in there that to obey the 10 commandments, but he cites the last 6. My mind is blinking out on this one. Matthew 19:16. Somebody saying. See if that's it. Yeah, that's one of them. but that's not the one. Let me see, Luke 18:18. Let's see. Luke 18:18.
It's Luke 18:18. I just found it.
Okay, so Luke 18:18, everybody. Well, it says, and a certain ruler asked him, saying, Good teacher, what shall I do to inherit everlasting life? So Yahusha said to him, Why do you call me good? No one is good except one, Elohim. You know the commands. Do not break wedlock, do not murder, do not steal, do not bear false witness, respect your father and your mother. And he said, All these I have watched over from my youth. And hearing this, Yahusha said to him, Yet one you lack. Okay, so this isn't what I'm looking for, but this is an example of Yahuwah quoting the last six. See, he doesn't mention the first four at all. He never does. Another instance of that is in Matthew. So it'd be Matthew 19:17. Same thing. Good teacher, what shall I do to have everlasting life? And he said to him, Why do you call me good? But if you wish to enter life, guard the commands. And he said to him, Which? And Yahusha said, You shall not murder, you shall not break wedlock, you shall not steal, you shall not bear false witness, respect your father and mother, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself. So all these last six commandments hang on that one command. That's why he said that. Okay. And so you see there's no mention of the first four because there's no use in it. You can't obey the first four if you're not complying with the last six. You have to love your neighbor first. You have to. That's why Yahushua never mentions the first four commands. But that still isn't what I'm looking for. I'm looking for where he tells them the first two commands there. And oh man, I thought it was in Mark. Anybody finds that, let me know. Maybe it's Mark 12. You might be right on that. Let me look at that. Mark 12. I can't move out of this I got to find this. I don't know why I'm blanking out like I'm doing, but let's see. Is it Mark 12? Mark 12.
I got you. I think I know which one you're looking for, Mark.
Yeah.
I think it's in Matthew 22, 34 to 40.
Matthew 22?
Yep, 34 to 40.
Yeah, that's it. All right. Whew, that was a struggle. Okay, so Matthew 22, 34 through 40. But the Prushim, having heard that he had silenced the Sadducees, were gathered together, and one of them, one learned in the Torah, did question, trying him and saying, Teacher, which is the great command in the Torah? And Yahusha said to him, You shall love Yahuwah your Elohim with all your heart and with all your being, with all your mind. This is the first and greatest command, and the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commands hang all the Torah and the prophets. That's not it. Where in the world is that?
That wasn't the one you were looking for, huh?
No. I'm going to find this if it's the last thing I do. It's just driving me out of my mind. 12:28.
Yahusha knows where it is, Mark. Clear your mind. Ask his to reveal it.
Is it in Luke? Oh, okay, I found it. It's in Luke 10. So Luke 10, 25, starting at 25. Luke 10, starting at 25. And see, a certain one learned in the Torah stood up, trying him and saying, Teacher, what shall I do to inherit everlasting life? And he said to him, What has been written in the Torah? How do you read it? And he answering said, You shall love Yahuwah your Elohim with all your heart and with all your being and with all your strength and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself. And he said to him, You have answered rightly. Do this, and you shall live. And he, wishing to declare himself just, said to Yahusha, And who is my neighbor? And then he goes into the parable of the Samaritan. Okay, so that right there covers all 10. Those two commands. See that? But when he's asked, and the other witnesses, when he's asked, he repeats, he tells them to obey the last 6 in order to attain eternal life. Everybody seeing that? So on these 2 commands hangs the Torah and the prophets. All right. So that's why, now go back to where we were at. So he doesn't say the last 6 commands on that. He just tells them the first 2 great commands. See what I'm saying? So back to John then. 13. This renewed command or repeated command then is one that we have to do this one here. Not only that so everybody knows that we're his pupils, but so that we can actually begin to love Yahuwah. Everybody seeing that? See what I'm saying? The first 4 are not in that. That's the point I'm trying to make. Anybody got any questions or comments further on this? Okay. All right, let's continue on then, Ted.
Okay, picking up at verse 36. Shimon Kepha said to him, Master, where are you going? Yahusha answered him, Where I am going, you are unable to follow me now, but after you shall follow me. Kepha said to him, Master, why am I unable to follow you now? I shall lay down my life for you. Yahusha answered him, Shall you lay down your life for me? Truly, truly, I say to you, the rooster shall not crow at all until you have denied me 3 times.
Okay. What does that mean when it says, "Where I am going, you are unable to follow me, but after you shall follow me"? What does that mean? You're going to go to heaven? What does it mean? Go ahead, Phyllis.
That once that when he dies, when he returns, he will bring him up to be with him. When the pupil dies, when we all die, and after everything, Yahushua will resurrect us. That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely part of it for sure. So what do you think this means more directly? So where I am going, you are unable to follow me now, but after you shall follow me. Phyllis?
Tad probably knows better, but just that he can't go with him while he's undergoing the torture.
Dad?
Well, we both know that, I think he's telling him, there is no place like there is no heavens. I have to die and I have to ascend, and you can't follow me because the reign of the Shamayim is not for flesh and blood. It's not for mankind. But when I come back, and I give you your immortal body and raise you, then you will follow me. And because I'll be here with you, the great city's coming down. I'll be dwelling with you.
Mm-hmm. That's true. But is there a way that we can follow him after his ascension? That we can follow him now? We don't have to wait till the reign of Yahuwah? Is there a way? Go ahead, Ted.
In spirit and truth? in the Ruach?
Yeah. Yeah, in the Ruach. The outpouring of the Ruach HaKodesh. Aren't you, if you have Yahushua in you, aren't you in the reign of Yahuwah already? Yeah. So more of an immediate following through the Ruach, and then later on in the eternal, living in immortality in the reign. Okay, so then Peter denies him. And does this mean that Peter lied? Did Peter lie? 3 times when he told people he didn't know Yahusha? That wasn't a lie? It was absolutely a lie. He did know Yahusha. He was with him. So Peter did lie. And he repented of it. Okay, but he did lie. He denied knowing him. What scriptures say about you if you deny him? What will he do? What does it say?
He will deny you.
Yeah, if you deny him, he'll deny you to the Father. Oh. Thanks, Lou. Okay. So yeah, Peter did lie here in this scenario, and not only did he lie, he went crazy. He was cussing and swearing and carrying on and lying. Okay, so Peter lost his marbles. Yeah, you can see that in other witnesses. Okay. Is there any questions or comments on this? Anybody? Go ahead, Phyllis.
So was because Peter confessed or repented, did that make him okay? Because I'm pretty sure that he was okay.
Yeah, he said that he's gonna deny him, but then later on, after he gets his act back together, after he repents, he's supposed to go help the other scattered sheep. Let me see, Matthew 26. Actually, go to Matthew 26 and start at verse 69. It says, and Kepha sat outside in the courtyard, and a servant girl came to him, saying, and you were with Yahusha of Galilee. But he denied it before them all, saying, I do not know what you say. Lie number one. And as he was going out into the porch, another girl saw him and said to those there, and this one was with Yahusha of Nazareth. But again, he denied with an oath. I do not know this man. So he said, I swear I don't know that man. He took an oath on it. That's two big lies. That's a big giant mistake on top of a lie. And after a while, those who stood by came to him and said to Kepha, truly, you are one of them, too. For even your accent gives you away, because he had an accent from that the Galileans had. Then he began to cuss and to swear, saying, I do not know the man. And immediately a rooster crowed. And Kepha remembered the words of Yahusha, who had said to him, before a rooster crows, you shall deny me 3 times. And going out, he wept bitterly. Okay. So Peter was putting on a pretty good show of denial here.
So then what does it mean if you deny the Father, he will deny you, or if you deny Yahusha, he will deny you. So is this, I guess the denial isn't for eternity. What? Because Peter denied him 3 times.
Yeah. Yeah, he repented, and he recovered, in which Yahusha told him he would do. I think that's in Luke. Let me see. Here we go, looking again. Let's see. Yeah, here it is. So, let me see, probably in 31, Luke 22:31. And the master said, Simon, Simon, see, Satan has asked for you to sift as wheat. So Satan wanting a piece of Peter here. But I have prayed for you that your belief should not fail. And when you have turned, strengthen your brothers. And he said to him, Master, I am prepared to go with you both to prison and to death. And he said, I say to you, Kepha, the rooster shall not crow at all today until you have denied 3 times that you know me. So there you go. So he's telling Peter here in this instance that, that you're going to lie, you're going to deny me, and you're going to lie, but I've prayed for you about this. And why did that happen to Peter? Because up here it says, and the master said, Simon, Simon, see, Satan has asked for you to sift you as wheat. Satan wants a piece of Peter, man. And obviously, Yahuwah allowed it, because Peter did lie and deny Yahusha 3 times. But then Yahusha says, but I have prayed for you that your belief should not fail, so that he wouldn't totally fall away, okay? That your belief should not fail. And when you have turned, when you have repented, strengthen your brothers. go find the scattered Talmudim and get them back together, strengthen them, encourage them. See that? So obviously then Peter repented and got his act back together. And we all know that he did, and we know that he was immersed with the Ruach HaKodesh too, right? At Pentecost. Okay, so he come out, he recovered from what he did by his denial, his lying, his cussing and swearing and carrying on. All right. Anybody got any thoughts on that? Some of these things are quite shocking, aren't they? It's kind of amazing sometimes when you run across this stuff. Okay, who wants to read 14? Go ahead, Phyllis.
Josh, you could have raised your hand a minute sooner. Okay. Yahukanon, chapter 14. Let not your heart be troubled. Believe in Elohim. Believe also in me. In my Father's house are many rooms, and if not, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I shall come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, you might be too.
Okay, now what? Hang on a minute. What's he talking about here? Where I go, you know, and the way you know. Wait a minute. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I shall come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, you might be too. And what is this? In my Father's house are many rooms. What's going on here? What's he talking about? Is he talking about heaven again? Is there a place called heaven?
The New Jerusalem?
Yeah, he's speaking of the New Jerusalem, isn't he? The new city that we read about in Revelation that comes down out of the Shemayim from Yahuwah. Right? So he's not talking about heaven. He's speaking of the new city, the New Jerusalem that's mentioned and described in Revelation. Everybody seen the connection to that? Who's going to live there?
Us.
Yeah, the election. That's who's going to live in the new city. Okay. Anybody got any comments or thoughts on that? Okay, let's continue on then.
Verse 5. Thomas said to him, Master, we do not know where you are going, and how are we able to know the way? Yahushua said to him, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you had known me, you would have known my Father too. From now on, you know him and have seen.
Okay, so what is that saying? What does that mean?
He's Yahuwah.
Well, basically, he's Yahuwah. Okay, so it's saying if, if you have known me, you would have known the Father too. From now on, you know him and have seen him. Speaking of himself, so obviously he's saying that I am Yahuwah, and you're looking at Yahuwah right now. So why didn't they know him or see him? Why didn't they?
They didn't have the Ruach yet.
Right, they were in the mind of the flesh, right? And so within the mind and the flesh, they were seeing with their carbon eyeballs. All you can see with their carbon eyeballs is carbon. So they only saw Yahushua as a man. They never saw him as the Father. Okay. Anybody got questions on that? Okay, let's go. Keep going, Phyllis.
You're muted, Phyllis.
Philip said to him, Master, show us the Father, and it is enough for us. Yahushua said to him, have I been with you so long, and you have not known me, Philip? He who has seen me has seen the Father. And how do you say, show us the Father?
Okay, stop. Okay, so I don't know really anywhere else in Scripture that is so clear about who Yahushua is. I mean, this is like crystal clear right here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, how can you read that and not understand that he's saying he's Yahuwah? Go ahead, Josh.
Well, I was just going to say he's beating you over the head with it now, you know.
I don't see how it can get any clearer. Is there any way he could have said this any clearer? Anybody? Can you say it any clearer than this? Anybody at all? Can you say it any clearer? Anybody? I can't say it any clearer than what he just said. Have I been with you so long and you have not known me, Philip? He who has seen me has seen the Father. That's pretty clear. And how do you say, show us the Father? I don't know how he could have said it any clearer, man.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, that's true, Lee. If he would have said, I am Yahuwah, that would have been a little bit clearer. But here Philip's asking him to show him the Father. And so he's answering that question just about as clear as anybody could answer it. Any questions? So look how saturated John is with this fact that Yahushua is Yahuwah incarnated. I mean, it's just on and on and on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Phyllis, let's go.
Do you not believe that I am in the Father, and the Father is in me? The words that I speak to you, I do not speak for myself, but the Father who stays in me, does his works. Believe me that I am in the Father, and the Father in me. Otherwise, believe me because of the works themselves.
Okay. So what does that mean? The Father who stays in me does his works. Do you not believe that I am the Father and in the Father and the Father is in me? So what does that mean? Pretty clear idiom here saying that they're the same being, right? It means we're one and the same. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Believe me that I am in the Father and the Father in me, meaning that is an idiom meaning that we're the same being. Okay. Otherwise, believe me because of the works themselves. What is that? What's he saying there?
That only the works he does could only be done by the Father.
He's saying, if you don't believe what I say, believe what I do.
Because what he's doing, the works he's doing, only Yahuwah can do, right? No, but no man can do those type things. Only Yahuwah can do those things. So at least believe me that I'm Yahuwah because of the miracle signs and wonders that you see me doing. Right? Because no man can do them. Only Yahuwah can do these things. So paraphrasing, that's what he's saying. Anybody got any comments or questions on that? Okay, let's continue on then.
Truly, truly, I say to you, he who believes in me, the works that I do, he shall do also. And greater works than these he shall do, because I go to my Father. And whatever you ask in my name, that I shall do, in order that the Father might be esteemed in the Son. If you ask whatever in my name, I shall do it, If you love me, you shall guard my commands. And I shall ask the Father, and he shall give you another helper to stay with you forever, the Ruach of the truth, whom the world is unable to receive, because it does not see him or know him. But you know him, for he stays with you, and he shall be in you. I shall not leave you orphans. I am coming to you.
Okay, stop right there. All right. And when he says, I shall not leave you orphans, I am coming to you, how is he speaking of the divine nature speaking here, or is human nature speaking?
Divine.
Yeah, he's speaking as the divine Ruach. Okay, so what does this mean here? The Ruach in 17, the Ruach of the truth, whom the world is unable to receive, because it does not see him or know him, but you know him, for he stays with you and shall be in you. What's that mean? The Ruach of the truth, whom the world is unable to receive. Why? Go ahead, Ted.
I think it means because they were not his bride. They were not chosen. They were not the ones chosen from before the foundations of the world. So they do not see. They do not know.
Yeah, so they're unable. Even if they wanted to, they're unable. So these people aren't going to believe by his words or even the signs, wonders, miracles. They're still not able to believe, right? Because why? They weren't appointed to from the foundation of the world. Go ahead, Phil.
Just like we're not able to unbelieve. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
We've
a good
known
point.
it all along. We've probably all known it all along, even though we had some of us to go through more trials and tribulations than others. We've kind of known it somewhere all along.
That's a really good point. Very good point. Levi, do you have your hand up, Levi?
I was just saying, amen. Full agreement with Phil, what Phil just said.
Mm-hmm. And then again, that goes back to Acts 13:48, if y'all remember that from last week. Go to Acts 13:48. And when the nations heard this, they were glad and praised the word of Yahuwah. And as many as had been appointed to everlasting life believed. So if you believe, then you're appointed to everlasting life. And you can't help to do anything other than what you're doing. Believing, okay? You have to, just like Phil just said. Okay? But those not appointed to everlasting life cannot believe. And they are unable to receive the Ruach because they're not appointed to believe. Because it does not see him or know him. Wow. What does 14 mean? If you ask whatever in my name, I shall do it. If you love me, you shall guard my commands. What does that mean?
By following his commands, this demonstration of love and worship.
Mm-hmm.
Following the example that he set before us.
If you love me, you shall guard my commands. So to me, this seems like evidence or proof that you love him. So if you're being disobedient and you're not obeying his commands, then that's evidence that you don't believe in him, or nor do you love him. See it? So it seems to be the deciding factor, which judges your belief, whether or not you truly believe or you do not believe.
By our actions, our fruits.
Our righteousness is not our righteousness. Our righteousness is him who dwells in us. It's his fruits, not ours. Our fruits are not very good fruits. They're rotten fruit. So,
least anyone should boast.
Yeah, our righteousness is his righteousness in us. All right. Anybody else got any comments or questions at this point? Go ahead, Phyllis.
I think we should at least mention if you ask whatever in my name, I shall do it. Does that mean he's our genie?
It means he's always willing to esteem Yahuwah. He's always willing to esteem his Father, and if we follow his guidelines, do what we're supposed to do, and
does that mean he's on our timeline? And because we ask, he should immediately jump and do what we say? Oh. Can he fulfill your request in the world to come? Can he be storing up your request and granting them in the world to come? Yeah, sure he could. Can he give it to you in this world? Yes, he can. He can if he wants to. But he still does. Just because you ask doesn't mean he's going to jump up and do what you say. It's all in his timing. And he knows if it's something that is beneficial for you or it's not. In other words, you may want it, and he may say, if I give you that, are you willing to suffer the pain and the everything that's going to come along with what you're asking? And more than likely, the answer would be no to that. And so he does what's best for you. As long as you got to be in compliance to his will and his knowledge, not your own. Go ahead, Phyllis.
Well, Tad has his hand up, but that's what that was the point I wanted to you to make for me, is that it's in my name. If you are in his name, then you have the Ruach, and then you will be guided by the Ruach for your requests. Is that what you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do. I think it's all about his will. And when we ask, we should be saying, your will, Yahuwah, be done, not mine, but your will. Every time we request something, because we don't know the outcome of what we're asking. Yahuwah does. He might say, okay, are you willing to pay the price that comes along with that prayer? And he knows what your answer is, what your being is saying. Is saying, no. If you give me that, so-and-so is going to die, this is going to happen, and that's going to happen. I don't want to pay that big of a price. Withdraw my request. You see what I'm saying? Go ahead, Tad.
I just wanted to point out that in 14 says, if you ask whatever in my name, I shall do it. But immediately after that, he connects the Torah to that. And I know that there's a part, I forget exactly where it is, but it says, if we use the Torah legitimately, the Torah is good for us. And so, and I think that's what it's talking about. He's connecting that. So if you ask whatever in my name, but he's connected the Torah to that. So it's, if you ask for things that would go along with this, with my word, then I'll do it. Because he's connected it right there. He said it immediately after that. That's just my opinion, but
no, I agree with you. I think you're spot on. Anybody else? Okay. There's examples in scripture where people ask stuff of you and he gives it to them right away. But there's also examples in there where he doesn't. Okay. So it's his will. We can ask, and we should ask, but then we need to be responsible in acceptance of whatever Yahuwah does according to his will, because he knows all. We don't. Go ahead, Phyllis.
I believe that a lot of times he puts the desires on your heart. He said he will put the desire on your heart. He gives you the desires of your heart because he puts the desire in your heart to ask for this. And then you know you're going to get it because he told you you were.
That's right. He does he puts those requests in your heart that he wants you to ask for sure. Anybody else? Okay, let's continue on then, Phyllis.
Can I start with number 15? And I shall ask the Father, and he shall give you another helper to stay with you forever, the Ruach of the truth, whom the world is unable to receive because it does not see him or know him, but you know him, for he stays with you and shall be in you. I shall not leave you orphans. I am coming to you. Yet a little while, and okay. Am I okay? Oh,
yeah, you're all right. You're echoing.
Yeah. Just turn your
Let me
speaker
go
off.
out. I'm gonna go out and come back in. Okay, try it now.
Yet a little while, and the world no longer sees me, but you shall see me because I live, and you shall live. In that yom you shall know that I am in my Father, and you in me, and I in you. He who possesses my commands and guards them, it is he who loves me. And he who loves me shall be loved by my Father, and I shall love him and manifest myself to him. Yehuda, not the one from Carius, said to him, Master, what has come about that you are about to manifest yourself to us and not to the world? Yahusha answered him, If anyone loves me, he shall guard my word, and my Father shall love him, and we shall come to him and make our home with him. He who does not love me does not guard my words, and the word which you hear is not mine, but of the Father who sent me. These words I have spoken to you while still with you, but the Paracleta, the Ruach HaKodesh, whom the Father shall send in my name, he shall teach you all and remind you of all that I said to you.
Okay, hang on a minute. Okay, so what's the name of the Ruach HaKodesh? What's the Ruach HaKodesh's name? Go ahead, Ted.
Yahusha.
Yahusha. How do we know the Ruach HaKodesh's name is Yahusha?
I know he tells us that. I forget where it is, but I know he tells us that.
We just read it.
Yeah.
Read 26. Read verse 26, Ted.
But the Paracleta, the Ruach HaKodesh, whom the Father shall send in my name, he shall teach you all. Yep.
There it is. He shall send in my name. Who's talking? Yahusha. So he's going to send the Ruach HaKodesh in my name, which means the Ruach HaKodesh's name is Yahusha. Everybody seeing it?
Yet another declaration that he said himself, he is Yahuwah.
That's right. So go take that And keep that in mind, go to John 5:43. Remember this one? A few weeks back. John 5:43. I have come in my Father's name. So what's his Father's name? It's Yahuwah. Or Yahusha, you could say. And you do not receive me. If another comes in his own name, him you would receive, which is the J man. Okay, so I have come in my Father's name. That means that the Father's name must be Yahusha. And over here, back to John 15, the Ruach HaKodesh, the Father shall send in my name. So the Ruach HaKodesh's name must be Yahusha. And then we know the Son's name is Yahusha. So in the name, singular, of the Father, the Son, and the Ruach HaKodesh would mean they all have the same one name, which is Yahusha. Now, keep in mind here that the name Yahusha is not a different name than Yahuwah. It's the same name. There's no difference. It's not two names. It's same name. So what's the difference? Well, it just has a suffix added to it. So I am has a suffix, and that suffix says deliverer. So I am your deliverer. Okay, and so it's still Yahuwah. The name has not changed. So all three of their names are Yahuwah, but with the suffix attached to it, all three of their names is Yahusha. Same name. His name does not change. Everybody seen that? It's not a different name at all. It never is. It's always the same name. Before the suffix is added, or after the suffix is added, same name, Yahuwah. It's just like saying, Michael Jr., that's all. It's just putting a suffix onto the name. It's still the same name. You can take the suffix off, it's still Michael, right? Or you add the suffix, now it's Michael Jr. That's all. Same name. Everybody seen that? Have any questions about that? So what's the name of the Father, Son, and the Ruach HaKodesh then? Somebody. Go ahead, Phyllis.
Yahusha.
There it is. All right. Okay, let's continue on then, Phyllis.
Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. You heard that I said to you, I am going away, and I am coming to you. If you did love me, you would have rejoiced that I said, I am going to the Father, for my Father is greater than I.
Okay, stop. Okay, so you've heard I said I am going away and I am coming to you. Okay, and if you did love me, you would have rejoiced that I said I am going to the Father, for my Father is greater than I. What does that mean? Go ahead, Ted.
He's just speaking as a man, his dual nature.
Okay. Go ahead, Phyllis.
Because he's really just a manifestation of Yahuwah.
Mm-hmm. Joshua?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, he's his right arm. He's his the fleshly incarnation. He's not the main source, but he's an offshoot of the source. I guess is a poor way of saying it. I guess.
Who's speaking? The human nature or the divine nature? Go ahead, Ted.
Human.
Yeah, it's human nature speaking here. So he's saying the Father's greater than I. I'm just a human like you are, right? But in the spiritual realm, he is the Father. And so his fleshly body is going to die, right? And it's going to be resurrected and returned back into the greatness of the Father, which is the firstborn of all creation, or the Word, and he created everything through. See that? And so he knows here that the role of the Father is greater than the role of the Son, because the sonship will have an ending. He also knows he can't come back and dwell you as a human, okay? But he can as the Ruach HaKodesh, the Paracleta, the Comforter. He also knows the Father's omniscient, and omnipotent. In other words, he's infinite in size, character, volume, whatever. He's everlasting to everlasting. And so as a man, he can do nothing at all. He's just as restricted as we are. Matter of fact, he didn't even know what to say, or he knew nothing. As a man, he was restricted exactly the same as we are. And so that's why he's saying, you should be happy that I'm going to go back to the Father and become back into the body of Yahuwah sitting on the throne. You know, that way the flesh has been removed out of the way, and the Ruach HaKodesh can do his majesty and his greatness and his power. So this is what Yahusha was referring to. They like to say that this proves that there's two, because I'm going to the Father, for my Father is greater than I, which means he's some type of subordinate or semi-God. It's subordinate to the Father, you know, which is really speaking out both sides of their mouth, right? Because how can he be subordinate to the Father if they're a Trinity? It can't be. It's impossible.
Yeah, that's a good example of taking one line. The whole book, he talks about how he is Yahuwah, you know, and they'll take that one little line and use that, you know, to do what you said, which is separate them, make them two different distinct beings, you know.
All right. Correct. So everybody, anybody got any comments or on this or questions? Everybody fully understanding this? Okay, let's continue on then, Phyllis.
And now I have told you before it takes place, that when it does take place, you shall believe. I shall no longer talk much with you, for the ruler of this world is coming, and he possesses nothing at all in me.
Oh, hang on. Who's the ruler of this world?
I should. Oh.
Go ahead, Tad. Go ahead, Tad.
Phyllis said it. Hashatan.
How did Hashatan become the ruler of this world? When did that happen? And how did it happen?
When Adam and Eve were kicked out of the garden?
Sort of.
Sort of.
Anybody else? Okay, so who was given dominion over the Eretz in the creation?
Adam.
Okay, and so when they fell, and then they were turned into a dust man. He fell from his majesty, his throne, his dominion. Is that when the devil creeped in and took control of the earth, or was given control by Yahuwah?
Yes.
But why? Why did the devil become the ruler then? Because Adam, who was given authority and dominion over the creation, fell. And so what happened? Why was the devil given the rulership?
Sin nature took over the flesh. Sin nature.
No, because Adam and Kua committed idolatry and worshiped the devil when they accepted his lie as truth over Yahuwah's truth. And so he became the ruler over them because they sided with him. When they chose to follow him, they became the subject and he became the ruler over them. And so now we live in the knowledge of good and evil, and we have to live it out now. And that's why we're here, because we chose it. And we gave up our rulership to Satan when we followed him. He had no control over humanity before. Humanity had the authority to resist him and tell him to get out of their kingdom, but they didn't. They subjected themselves to him and chose him over Yahuwah and committed idolatry. That was the first sin. Any questions or comments on that? Okay. Let's go ahead and go, Phyllis.
Mike.
I'm sorry. I shall no longer, I already read that. But in order for the world to know that I love the Father and that as the Father commanded me, so I am doing. Rise up, let us go from here.
Okay. So how's he speaking here? As the Father or the Son? Is he speaking from the human nature or from his divine nature in this last verse? Go ahead, Ted.
Sounds like it's still from the human side nature to me.
Yeah, human nature.
It never stopped.
That's right. Human nature. Okay. And so I hope we all can see that he has two natures. He plays three roles as the Father. He plays the Father. He plays the Son. He plays the Ruach HaKodesh. We can see that the sonship will end. So the Father, the role of the Father is greater than the role of the Son. Okay. Everybody's seeing that. Okay. Any questions, comments, concerns, testimony, anything at all about today's study? Go ahead, Phyllis.
I don't have a question, but I would just like to dive into, in order for the world to know that, no, back up. I shall no longer talk with you, for the ruler of the world is coming. We know who that is and how he became, and he possesses nothing at all in me. So I'm just wondering about the significance of that statement is all. Is there any more significance to it that we need to pick out of there?
I shall no longer talk much with you, for the ruler of this world is coming, and he possesses nothing at all in me. Has nothing to do with him. What does light have to do with darkness?
Mm-hmm.
Or darkness with light? Okay, so we don't associate with darkness, we expose it. Go ahead, Tad.
You said what I was going to say. Light and darkness. What does light have to do with darkness?
Why would the light be afraid? Oh, go ahead, Josh.
Well, I was just going to say it seems to be a foreshadow of the lawless one coming in too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's not a timeline, did it? He said, I will not talk much with you because the ruler of this world is coming. That could be a good answer.
I shall no longer talk much with you, For the rule of this world is coming, yeah. And he possesses nothing at all in me. But in order that the world to know, for the world to know that I love the Father and that the Father commanded me, so I am doing. Rise up, let's go. Let us go from here. So he seems to be alluding to the anti-Mashiach, in the reign of the wrath of Hashatan that's coming. It'll have nothing to do with him. And so that it's, in other words, darkness ain't going to have anything to do with the light. You see, there's only two choices. There's light and darkness, right? Truth and falsehood, right? Lies, truth, the father of lies, the father of darkness, the father of lights, the father of truth. There's only two choices. And he has nothing to do with Yahusha, because they're the opposing teams, and they're against each other. So he possesses nothing in him. In other words, he's not going to do anything at all to help the light, right? But I don't know where we're saying, I shall no longer talk with you much, for the ruler of the world is coming, that he's afraid of him. But he's just saying that pretty soon he's going to be betrayed and he's going to be killed. And here again, he's speaking out of his weakness, if there is such a thing in Yahusha, and that would be his human nature. So this is the human nature talking now, and Yahuwah allowing him to experience humanity. Go ahead, Ted.
I was just thinking that, yeah, like you said, he's not afraid of him coming, but I think he's more concerned for his lost sheep, that he's coming. He's concerned for us. And so I think that's what he's getting out there. Not that he's afraid of him, because light dispels darkness, but that he's concerned for our sakes.
I just had Ted, you made me think about something. Yet that he can't. Well, I just lost it. I guess that was just for me and not for you all. Oh no, that he can't get through to us, not because of his lack of power, but because of our lack of the general population's lack of belief. Maybe that's what he means, that he can't, because he said before that he has to work while the light is here, because when the dark is coming, nothing can be done. Maybe that he's referring to the darkness that is coming.
Yeah, don't forget, Yahuwah's allowing it. Yahuwah's giving the devil a reign. Okay, and he's going to come and he's going to reign and he's going to make war with the Kadeshim and he's going to overcome them. Yahuwah's going to allow that. Okay, and so don't forget that. That's Yahuwah's will, for him to overcome the Kadeshim. This, when he says, and that as the Father commanded me, so I am doing, is, I believe, is waiting on the appointed time to be fulfilled. And so he knows that he has a certain time where the will of Yahuwah, it says you must die, and that appointed time is on the Passover, and he knows that. And so he doesn't want anything to interfere with that. He doesn't want the devil, darkness, or anything to interfere with the will of Yahuwah. Okay, and so he's making sure that it doesn't. So I ain't got time to talk to you right now. Let's get out of here. The ruler of the world's coming, and I can't die yet. I can't die until Yahuwah's appointed time. That's when I die. So let's get going. Saying this type of thing. Everybody's picking up what I'm laying down on that. All right. Anything else? This was a very interesting study this evening or this afternoon. Really enjoyed it. Next week, we're going to go into the Natsarim chapter 15. And this is the chapter that I believe that the Natsarim should know verbatim. I mean, we should really study this, and if we can memorize it even better. But it's what I call the Natsarim chapter, maybe the most important chapter in this book. And so we'll get into that next week. Don't miss that one. It's extremely important for the Natsarim, for the Mispaka, to have a good understanding of chapter 15. Okay. And I'm going to stop right there because we'll probably spend all of the next week's study on that chapter. It's that important.
And if anybody doesn't read ahead of time, Mom's going to get out her spoon.
Yeah, you should read ahead of time. Try to read that chapter before next week comes if you can. You know, try to study it on your own, and then that way we can have a better, clear understanding of it next week when we study it together. So that's a really good idea, Phyllis.
But everybody knows I live with her, and I have to bear the brunt of the spoon. You guys don't actually have to feel it.
Is
I'm
that
the one that gets back with it?
Is that why your head's kind of flat up there, Ted? I noticed you got a kind of flat spot up there on your head.
Once again, we're making personal comments, but now the teacher has said we have homework. I'll put together a quiz, Mark. Don't worry.
Yeah, but what better homework could we have than to read his word? You know, so
Indeed, so
it's enjoyable homework.
Yes.
I should have said Phil was going to check our homework.
I'll be asking the questions, not over Mark.
there
I'm
you
just saying when Mark wants me to ask a question on the certain section, I'll ask the question.
Shalom, brethren.
Shalom. Good to hear from you.
Just want to say the excellent study. I'm here in North Carolina. Need your prayers. It's my first time I run across your support gathering. I'm currently homeless, so keep me in prayers. I'm here in Roxburgh, North Carolina, at a 24-hour library. They have an excellent stream of internet, so that's how I'm able to be on line with you. But like I said, I've been homeless since 2019, so pray for me.
What's your name, sir?
Shaul Yisrael. Shaul Yisrael. In the description. So like I said, I appreciate your prayers and any support you can send. It's cold out. Here at this library, it is cold down here.
I'll definitely keep you in my prayers, man, for sure.
Indeed.
And thanks for coming on, Shaul. Appreciate you being here, man. Come on more often. We're all definitely going to pray for you. We have some family down there in North Carolina as well. More that you're on here, you can start meeting people down there around North Carolina that may be able to help you out as well. But we're sorry to hear about you being homeless. And I'm sure Yahuwah has a plan for you and why you're going through that. And I'm sure that his will be done in your life. It's going to be done in whatever it is. So thanks for coming on and sharing that. And if anybody would like to help Shaul out or something, we could get a hold of him. You may want to put your email.
My information is in the chat, side chat.
You can go into that side chat, that private chat there.
My information is in the side chat.
Yeah, my curiosity, I guess I'm like the cat, Curiosity killed the cat, right? But I'm just wondering why you're still homeless after 2019.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I tried to get my disability, and I'm waiting to hear back from that. Because I'm disabled. I became disabled after I lost my job in 2019, and from there, things just went down here from there.
I gotcha. Okay.
Did you catch that? Tell me after.
You have access to that private chat, Shaul, if you'd like to go in there and give us some kind of contact information about yourself or whatever. Maybe somebody reach out to you. Who should put?
I will.
Okay. Come back more often, man. I'd like to get to know you a little better. I got a quiz for you guys. No cheating now. No cheating. What's this mean? Anaha gafa nataha natsarim. Go, Ted.
I am the vine, you are the branches.
There you go. I'm the vine, you are the branches. So who named us the Natsarim? Why do we go by Natsarim? Go ahead, Ted.
That was Yahusha that said that in the coming chapter.
So Yahusha called us the Natsarim, and that's why we go by the Natsarim, right? So it's not
even before he walked, though, we were called Natsarim in I think it's where he's talking. I think it's Jeremiah, isn't it? Where he's talking about the hills of the frame, the watchman will cry out. It's the same name, Natsarim.
Yeah, but it means watchman rather than branches in context. Right. So Natsarim can be watchers, it can be guardians, it can be branches, right? Depending on context. Yeah. So it's not a religion, okay? This is not a new religion of sorts that we invented. Okay, this means that we are an extension of Yahusha and his teachings. So Yahusha is the leader. Yahusha is our teacher. He's our everything, and we're just an extension off of him. There it is. That's all that means. We follow Yahusha. We don't follow any man. We all follow Yahusha. We're all components in the one body of Yahusha, right? And so that's what Natsarim is implying, in case anybody out there is wondering what religion we are. We don't have a religion. Matter of fact, no religion is required to worship Yahuwah. All right. He doesn't need a new religion made up about him. He wants a relationship with every single person, individual relationship with you based on love and truth. Go ahead, Tad.
Yeah, I was just going to say religion would basically require division, and we know the divisions are illegal. So yeah, religions are all man-made. They're fought for illegal.
Yes, that's exactly right. If you're in a religion, get out. I don't care what the name of it is. It can be Catholic, it can be Baptist, it can be voodoo, it can be witchcraft, it can be Buddha, it can be Hindu, it can be science, it can be humanism. It doesn't matter what you're calling it, get out of it, because all religions are wrong. Islam, Christianity, Buddhist, Hindu, it doesn't matter, okay? Wiccan, whatever you're calling yourself, it doesn't matter. You're all wrong. There's no right religion. All religions are falsehood, based on traditions and falsehood. So get out of them. Come out of her, my people. Come out of the world's religions and traditions and get to know your creator, Yahuwah. Have a relationship with him, not a religion about him. He doesn't want that. Obviously, he doesn't. Scripture says so.
It's a lot of division.
It's nothing but division.
Dividing.
That's all it is. Just a way to divide. It's a tool the devil uses to divide us. And that's illegal. Like Dad said, there's one body, there's one Messiah, there's one Torah, there's one name, one Yahuwah. You cannot It's impossible. You cannot sharply divide one. You can't make 3 out of 1.
There is only the oneness.
That's it. Oneness is it.
Yahukanon, chapter 17.
Yahukanon. First Yahukanon, what did you say?
Yahukanon, chapter 17.
Okay.
Yahusha's prayer
Oh, okay.
is exactly what we're living in.
Oh, I got you now.
In a just. Basically, again, it'd be next week, chapter 15 as well.
That's right. Okay. Anybody else? Any comments, questions, testimonies? Tad? No? Mom said you did. She must
Mom's
like
always trying to get me in trouble.
She's looking for something.
I was going to say, I think she likes to hear you talk. Phyllis, go ahead.
I didn't have anything. I'm just listening. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Joshua, go ahead.
I'm good. I appreciate everything today, and I'll see you guys all next week.
Phil, go ahead, Phil.
I didn't have my hand up. Did somebody stick their hand in front of my hand? I'm paying attention though.
Oh, I thought you were volunteering to sing a song before we all stopped.
Oh, that's right. He's still here.
My voice is I could sing a little Johnny Cash, but that probably wouldn't be appropriate.
Go ahead, Tad.
I'll just read what Mom said. I was looking for something. It's just because it went along. Even back in Exodus, it shows the oneness, like you were saying, how divisions are illegal. Exodus 12:49. There is one Torah for the native born and for the stranger who sojourns among you. I mean, he's basically telling you right there, it's for everybody.
Correct.
If you've grafted into Israel and your eyes are open and you see me and you hear me, there's one Torah for you, for all those people.
Correct.
Powerful stuff right there.
He didn't come to set up denominations.
Who's the architect of denominations?
Hasatan.
And his minions.
Correct.
We haven't heard from Cato, Mark. I think you should call out Cato.
I thought I was Cato. I saw him on here earlier.
Yeah, he is. He's right there.
Where?
Not
Cato.
your projects.
Oh, yeah. Cato.
His face.
Oh, yeah. Wow. And I just totally ignored him. Cato, come on, brother. What you got to say, man? I see you got your hand up there.
He must have left.
He's probably fell asleep.
Mark, it's so wonderful that you obey the Ruach week after week. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
You ever think about adding another, scripture study on a Wednesday or something, or just...
We love it.
Hey, Cato, it's saying devices not detected, man. That usually means your camera or your mic. I don't know. Just saying devices not detected, brother. While I'm ignoring Joshua, I just want to say that today's study is concluded, and appreciate everybody's attendance and participation. And don't miss next week, man. What a powerful presentation study that's going to be. And I think Phil's going to have a little quiz ready for us all. So have a pen and pencil, come with a piece of paper and a pencil with you so we can all take the quiz. And other than that, man, I'll be seeing y'all next week. Open mic session now. Singing, praising, worshiping, anything at all, whatever you want to do.
Bless your family. Like I said, pray for me. My information's in the side chat.
Brother Shaw. Oh,
yes, sir.
I saw you last night on Spark and News channel as well.
Yes, sir.
And the Ruach put it on my heart to send you, a little bit of.
Thank you.
But it's not me. It was all Yahusha.
Praise Yahuwah.
So,
praise Yahuwah.
Yeah. So praise Yahuwah for that. But yeah, a little bit of support came your way last night. You're very well.
That helped.
Well, we were talking about Leviticus a lot today, and I just want to let you know that is available for download. Adam only put $5 on the download. No, I'm not talking about money on Sabbath. I'm sorry, I don't even know why I said that, but I just want to know it's available. And I was thinking that's so critical to knowing it's. I guess it's because Joshua's talked about studying it so much, made me think that it is important to know what they had to go through. And now this is the freedom from all of that, or most of that. I'm sorry, my brain is not connected today. The things I want to say don't come out right. I'm going to, Phil, stop laughing.
I was laughing at Tad because he snuck away while you were talking.
He didn't go far, but we're glad that you're not so asleep, Phil, that you can't join us once in a while.
What was that? Yeah, I was tired today. I don't know what my problem was.
Wow.
Where's the moderator at?
Mom's not sending the wooden spoon by courier just for somebody to come over to Iowa and whack you with it.
That'd be awesome. Just let them know. I got some favorite restaurants we can go to afterwards, so it's no biggie.
Well, in that case, I'll drive the wooden spoon there myself then.
Okay.
If you've got famous restaurants, I mean.
Well, I don't know if they're too famous, but they're all right.
Or favorite restaurants, I should say. Favorite. There you go.
I had to buy myself a vowel there. Yes, favorite is what I meant to say.
Yeah. Well, just want to say goodbye and love seeing you all.
Yeah, it was a great study. We love learning with all of you, including Brother Mark. But every single one of you, we love hearing the comments and the discussion back and forth. That's how iron sharpens iron. That's how we learn from each other. So we'll see you again next week. And everybody, just remember to get closer to our Creator Yahuwah today. Spend a little time with Him. So we love y'all and talk to you next week.
Hallelujah. Shalom.
Shabbat shalom, family.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Mark, we're all leaving.
Okay, well, let's do the priestly blessing and we'll take you out of here with a blessing from Yahuwah. How would that be? Ready?
Ready.
And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to Aaron and his sons, saying, this is how you bless the children of Yisrael. Say to them, Yahuwah bless you and guard you. Yahuwah make his face shine upon you and show favor to you. Yahuwah lift up his face upon you and give you shalom. Thus they shall put my name on the children of Yisrael, and I myself shall bless them. Baruch haba b'shem Yahuwah.
Baruch haba b'shem Yahuwah.
Baruch haba b'shem Yahuwah.
Baruch haba b'shem Yahuwah. Baruch haba b'shem. Bye-bye, everybody.
So long, Natsarim, beloved of Yahuwah. See y'all next week.